Christina, thanks for having us today. And I will do a short intro for everyone who's just joined. This talk in itself will be on, the differences between being a freelancer or going full time as a designer. And it would be a great way to get an idea for how you may want to plan your own career or, just to have a cool chat and understand what other designers have gone through in their career to get where they're at today. So without further ado, I'll leave it over to you, Christina. And yeah, thanks. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. We will definitely have some time towards the end as well to answer any questions that come up. Thanks. I'm going to go on mute.
Thanks everyone for joining. I don't see your faces, but I will believe you are happy to see me as well. I'm senior product designer with marketing background. I recently left Sweatcoin. It's an apps rewards users for steps with digital currency. I was I was promoted to a role of a very long title, growth and acquisition, product design lead. But fun thing about Sweatcoin, during my time there, we gained 80 million users. So it was like quite a big step for Sweatcoin. And now I'm excited to be a part of small and dynamic crypto wallet startup called Flus. So I'm digging into crypto, learning everything, and oh my God, it's so much. Like if you ever plan to start with crypto, just like get ready. It's a lot of knowledge. And I will start sharing my screen and go through my slides. Let's go. Where is my Figma? Open it in a new tab. So as you noticed, today's topic is freelance versus full-time. And yeah, I already introduced myself, but it's just in case you want to learn more, you can check out my website. But also I forgot to mention, I'm also mentoring Dribbble courses. And it was fun graduating my students last week. And this time I got only Americans. And it was like a bit strange, like being in Poland and working only with American designers. So yeah, a fun fact. Let's start with freelancing. What is freelancing? So basically, when we talk about freelancing or freelance designers, it's self-employed people responsible about everything. Taxes, income, benefits, invoices, healthcare, it's all on you, deciding on how much you want to work, when you want to work, with whom you want to work. It's all about freelance. And an important note about like what type of freelance exists, because before we will switch to pros and cons of each working style, it's important to understand there are like several types of freelance. Project-based, which is pretty simple. For example, someone reaches out to you, I want a website, Christina, how much it will cost? So you do estimation, you charge for the whole project, you can charge in several steps, but basically you have a project, you sign kind of a contract, it might be email as well, but basically you're working on this project. Retainer-based, it's sometimes it's when you're working with agencies. So you can have like a particular amount of hours dedicated to this agency, like 10 hours per month, for example. You're working on this agency and they have constantly some tasks for you. Also, retainer-based might be with clients that need continuous support. So for example, if you're creating more graphic images for them, or if they need, Google Slides done monthly. So basically they hire you on a retainer, so you are always available for their design task. Hourly based is the simplest concept. Someone reaches out to you, you say like it will be around 10 hours, and then you bill for every hour you work on the project or on the task. Value-based, a bit more complex one. So it's not based on hours or an actual like size of the project or anything. It's based on how much value your work will bring to clients, which in simple words means I will charge you a lot because I'm smart. So, and also because your work will be really valuable for clients, of course. So for example, if you build a website And you probably will spend 40 hours of your time. And if you charge like $50 per hour, it will be like not that much, 2,000 pounds or euro or whatever your currency is. But if you think of value, if this website will bring a lot of leads to your client, and how if they have expensive products and everything, you can like charge, for example, 5-10K pounds just because it's a valuable project for your client. But yeah, I'd say value-based is more advanced and hard to manage. Task-based is close to project-based, but just your project is really small, tiny one. So also it might be gig economy, something like if you work on Upwork or on Fiverr, where you have small gigs that you do for a small amount of money, is it like starter for relationships? And also like you can mix it all and go with hybrid, which is obviously. Let's try to understand what is full-time job also. Like for designer, it means you are typically considered an employee of a company. You have a particular number of hours per week that you need to work and perform, and most likely you need to be available during specific times. But you have some perks, some corporate benefits, and a stable salary. I mean, considering with recent layoffs, I'm not sure how stable it is, but let's call it stable for now. And there's an important note on full-time roles, something that our amazing friend COVID brought to us. It's remote. Yeah, I'm not good at making some produced sounds, but basically remote work, it's kind of like it's a game changer. It's a game changer in our industry because you don't need to go to office. You don't need to spend your time and money on going to office or buying lunch here or talking to your colleagues all the time because they're here, or like being in a noisy environment, living your lovely and comfy flat. No, nothing is needed. So basically, when I will be comparing freelance to full-time, I will be also separating full-time into two categories of remote work and in-office work, because they're quite different. And it's just a consequence. It's a guy in office work looks at. It's just, I couldn't find a better illustration. Yeah, let's compare. Unless, is there any questions so far? Everything is clear? And see, no chats? Okay, let's compare. Do you have a question there?
I do have a question. So I know that you've done some freelancing in your time. I was going to ask, what style did you go for when you were a freelancer, or what was your favorite style to go for and why?
I guess it makes more sense to cover in the end when I will just introduce it more. Yeah. Comparison part, and then I will tell about my own experience, because I'm trying to be bias free for now as much as possible. No problem. And then just remind me about this question in the end.
Will do.
Yeah. So the magic flexibility. Freelancers for sure can work in their pajamas from anywhere they want. Yes, let's be honest, we can. And basically, remote workers can do the same. I'm currently a remote worker, so basically, I'm not in my pajama. I have a working pajama, let's call it this way, that this looks more acceptable on Zoom videos. But in general, it's really comfy, and you kind of your own boss in this situation. But there is always a but. It comes at a cost. This flexibility also means that you have to manage your own time. You have to decide when you wake up, when you have lunch, when you have your working hours, how you split your day, when you split your day. So basically all the responsibility for planning and managing your schedule is on your shoulders as well. So this is flexibility that comes at a cost of being responsible for it. While with full-time employees, 9 to 5, let's go like if you're an office worker, 9 to 5, you most likely need to be 40 hours per week in the office. Even if you don't have enough work, or if you're not like interested or anything, you should be there, presented. The same for remote workers. Even if you are not like you're not having regular hours and you don't need to visit office, you still have hours when you need to be available for your team members, for meetings and for calls and everything like that. So basically, I would say remote is closer to freelance because you're still kind of like responsible for your schedule, but you have limitations of this responsibility. A lot of people can decide for you what meetings you're having today and how to put those meetings. And especially like in startups, whereas like corporate, the cultural aspect is like your calendar is open for everyone and people just place random meetings whenever they want for you. So you should be aware of that. And also like when people say that you're your own boss as a freelancer, I not fully agree, because instead of having like one manager that will tell you like what to do, you have multiple managers. Your client is your boss. Every one of them might be nice, might be not, but you have to deal with them. And if you're a freelancer, you have multiple clients, so you have multiple problems. While with like being full-timer or remote worker, most likely your manager will protect you from the rest of the company and from his manager and her manager. So basically it's like a pyramid of management where you have only one pyramid. Yeah, let's move to control first. With control, I mean here that you are in control of what type of projects you take on, what type of clients you're working with as a freelancer. And basically, you have to control. You don't have a choice to let it go because you have to be in control of everything what's going on with your projects. And when it comes to freelance, it also involves a lot of sales, product management, project management, and business skills where you need to sell yourself, your services, then to sell your decision every time you make a decision as a freelancer, and control the whole project. If there's like some deadlines are missing, you're setting those deadlines as well. Like if you missed your own deadline, it's like twice worse if you have missed someone else's deadline. So this control involves a lot of aspects of your skill set and understanding how the project work in general. So it's a tricky point for freelancers, I would say. At the same time, as a full-time employee, you might not have control of what project you're working on. Whatever your boss will decide, you're working on it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't benefit you as a designer, if it's boring, if you don't like it, and if it's super ugly project and you just need to continue probably to produce ugly designs to fit the rest of the project, doesn't matter. Basically, you don't have control here. You're letting someone else decide what you're working on. And also important to mention, as a full-time designer, you most likely have less creative control over the project. So how you do them, in what way, how do you organize your files, your personal workflow, anything that is connected to the way you work is affected by corporate policies, or how the rest of the design team work, or how the rest of your team work. So basically, you're also not in control of a lot of processes you're involved. While as a freelancer, whatever you find best for yourself or for organizing your project, that's good for you. That's all. It's simple. Yeah, important topic, or income stability. So again, I would say the common belief is that full-time is very safe and stable. But I mean, I've never felt in danger as a freelancer, I have to tell you. Like, if you need more work, you can always find more work. You can find more projects. So basically, when it comes to income stability, I would say what gives you full-time is better planning and management of your budget, because you know that every month at a particular date, you will get a particular salary sent to your bank account, and you can plan 3, 4, 5 months in advance if you're planning to buy a house, or if you're planning to buy a car, you need, like, you can calculate like how much it will take, how long you need to work for this car. So, and it gives you a clear understanding of your budget and planning of your budget. While with freelance, especially in the beginning of your freelance career, it's really unstable. It's really unstable, and you can't predict how much you will earn. Some months you will be earning lots, some months less, and especially in the beginning, it's quite challenging. So yeah, let's talk about benefits a bit as well. Like, I think like all full-time jobs, they are really trying to advertise how amazing their benefits are, their perks. And especially like in office jobs, they have this like coffee, snacks, everything you want, just come to the office. But basically you don't have benefits as a freelancer. You have to organize your own benefits. You have to make your own coffee, buy your own coffee machine if you want coffee from coffee machine, buy your own snacks and everything like that. You don't have like health insurance until you will go and pay for it. You pay your own taxes, and basically it's all on you deciding what kind of benefits you're having, but also you can decide on it. You can have those benefits. While with corporate jobs and in general with full-time, for both remote and in-house, there are a lot of perks for employees, and they have holidays. Yes, as a freelancer, from one side, you can have holiday whenever you want. You can take a vacation, disappear for a month, but it always at some particular cost. So basically, if you're not working for a month, you're not getting paid. And also it may affect your projects. It may affect like your future projects. So if you're like stopping to work, so it's hard to continue you need to go back, finding new projects. So basically a lot of interruptions involved. While on full time, you have like 20, 30 days, depending on the company, that are guaranteed you for per year and do your best. Paid days, just go there and enjoy them. From one side, from another, like it's just 20, 30 days per year. It's a whole year, guys. Come on. What kind of holidays? You will be taking like 1 week every a couple of months and just like to clean your house and see your friends, and then you need to go back to work. But basically, yeah, there is a balance. You need to find what is more important for yourself. But as a freelancer, don't expect that you will be just laying on the beach with your laptop and not working, because you have so much free time. Especially as a beginner freelancer, you most likely will be working more than any full-time employee. So as a full-time employee, you're just limited to 40 hours per week. Sometimes you can work more, but basically after 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., when your boss is messaging you, you can just ignore it. Because your working day is done. As in a freelancer, is client messaging at you at 1 a.m. because something urgent happened, you are replying because you're a freelancer. And there is no boundaries. There is no like understanding of working day, especially if a junior freelancer as a beginner, you will be just taking any projects. Like the previous point of, like you choosing your clients and projects is kind of getting broken here, because as a beginner, you just take everything you can find and work as much as you can do. But yeah, basically as benefits, I would say, yeah, you don't have insurance, paid time off and anything like that, but you have to choose what's important for you, freedom versus perks. And a very important point that I personally was lacking during my freelance career, but I will try not to touch bias right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I realized that there's a timer on the meeting. I didn't notice that this was going to be the case, but if anyone once it does cut off, I've got a new link and I've sorted out this problem for future. So I'll just share a new link with you just after it cuts off, in case anyone wonders what's going to happen in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I noticed the timer now. So.
Yeah, it's the license thing. It just came up randomly. I thought we took care of it. But it's not a problem. I've got a new link.
Okay, don't forget to send it to me as well. Because cool. Yeah, so collaboration and social. It might be not that important point for you until you will actually start freelancing and spend a couple of years working alone, absolutely alone. And collaboration for designers, especially junior designers, is very important. You can learn a lot from other designers in your company. You might, as at full-time roles, there is more chance you will have a mentor or someone to ask questions. And also you will be engaging with other team members, and you will be more exposed to like business process of the whole product creation. While if you're freelancing, you really have to like take all the decisions alone, including design decisions. Sometimes if you work like with agencies and you can have some feedback on testing, or if they run some tests and just want to share it with you, probably you will get some like more professional feedback. But in majority of cases as a freelancer, you will just get like or dislike from your client, and that's all. And also it won't be like professional feedback like, this font is not vibing with our brand. It will be like, I don't like this font. Can you pick up another one? And basically the social, sorry, I'm still coughing a bit. I had a flu a few weeks ago. So with freelancer, you don't have that social aspect of your work. So when you work in full time, you have your colleagues, you have even like in Zoom for remote workers, you have some social aspect of your work when you chat about your weekend, how you doing, what is the weather in your location, or mine is worse. No, mine is worse. So basically you have a bit of the social connection that you might be lacking as a freelancer. As a freelancer, especially working a lot, you can absolutely go this crazy closed mode without leaving your house, without talking to other people, and eventually just become a crazy lonely person. There is a risk. I'm not saying it will happen to you, but basically as a freelancer, you're lacking the social aspect of connecting with other professionals in your area of interest or in your working area. And yeah, it also kind of takes away any kind of networking. So as a full-time, you're building those connections with your colleagues, you're changing like jobs, and you have more and more network around you, people you've been working with, and this network can be like helpful in finding new jobs. And technically it might be helping in becoming a freelancer, because all those people will know that you're a freelancer and they can like refer some new clients to you. So basically this network, it's hard to build when you're freelancing, unless you're really active in communities, unless you're trying to connect with other freelancers, or if you YouTuber educating about how to become a freelancer, then obviously you have a lot of connections. But you have to be aware that freelance is kind of a solo journey in many cases. And my favorite point, I'm not sure how the situation is in UK, but in Poland, I need an accountant. And this wonderful lady, she asks me terrible questions in Polish every time when I'm sending her invoice or trying to explain what I'm doing as a designer, because for her, the concept of digital design and working with international clients sounds like some weird stuff you're telling me, girl. Stop it. And every time when I'm even as a freelancer or a digital person, you're trying different income sources. You can try Gumroad to sell your digital products, or you can try, I don't know, like being a YouTuber, start your own podcast using referral marketing. And every time when you're introducing a new source of income or a new type of invoice or a new client, I'm getting email of 10, 20 questions asking in detail. Share my screen again. Yeah, so I was complaining a bit about taxes, part of working in Poland, but basically you have to understand when you're working as freelancer, a self-employed person, you are responsible for your taxation, for your tax situation, like for invoices, for billing clients, for communicating the pricing, calculating the price you want to charge. Everything is on you. compared to full-time, where it's like, I don't know what's happening. I just got my money on bank account. Everything is fine. I don't know how like when you ask someone from like who've never been working as a freelancer and just works as a full-timer, how much tax do you pay? And they're like, I don't know. So this tax blindness is blessed to full-timers, while as a freelancer, you have to think about everything about your security, taxation security, not getting arrested for taxes, and that funny stuff. And also there is a business part of running a business, because being a freelancer, a self-employed person, is almost the same as running a small business with just one employee. You onboard your clients, you educate them, you email them, you sell your services to them, you manage the project, you invoice them, you bill them, you explain, you are a Swiss knife, basically, as a freelancer, also performing the service you need to perform. So you have to be aware that behind the project, beside the project you're charging for, there a lot of work will be involved. Like even like if you think of communicating with your clients, you can send back and forth 10 emails that will take you like 3-4 hours of your time to write them down, explaining your services or whatever. It's not billed unless you plan to bill for it, unless you have this price, you have those hours calculated already in your project, and like managing the project, getting rounds of feedback, everything like that is something that you have to plan on your own, and no one will be helping you here. While with full-time, there is always like a project manager or product owner or product manager, someone who will plan it for you, someone who will tell developers what to do, you what to do, and basically take it away from your plate. And I will touch it a bit, career growth. So as a full-time employee, you definitely have more opportunities for training inside the organization, from being mentored by someone of your colleagues, or at least like there are some educational and growth development programs in many companies. So they will be investing in you, in your education and development, pay for your courses sometimes, and stuff like that. So basically, as a freelancer, it's all on you. But a good point to protect that it's all on you is that you're also choosing what you want to learn. As a freelancer, there is no boundaries. So I don't know, you're working as Salesforce developer or Salesforce designer, and you have to learn about Salesforce, and all the courses that will be paid or reimbursed by your company should be connected to the work you do. You can't just like pick up, I want to learn how to, I don't know, how to take care of dogs. I would take this course. But you have to choose something that like connected to your professional development within this company. While as a freelancer, you don't have those boundaries. You can switch from being designer to being a developer, from being developer to being anyone else, copywriter, anything you want to do, anything that caught your attention and became your passion. It doesn't matter. You can try anything you like and just do whatever you want with your growth. So there is no limitation in terms of growth. And also you don't have to deal with boring corporate training, all this beautiful trainings you don't need to attend. You don't get any new information, but they just exist for the sake of existence. So basically in this part, I tried to cover like all the most important differences between freelance and full-time roles. And hopefully you have some questions now. I see a question from Katya. So basically, I will also I will read the question for everyone just in case. Do you suggest getting an accountant as soon as you go freelance, or is it manageable by yourself at the start? I'm not I'm not sharing legal advice here because it really depends on your country and your legal situation. For example, my boyfriend is from Australia, and for him, the concept of hiring an accountant to run a freelance business is a nonsense. He never heard of it. Like in Australia, they have totally different system, whereas they just, by the end of the year, they tell you how much taxes you need to pay. While in majority of European countries, it's a game where you need to guess how much taxes you need to pay, and you need to guess correctly. So yeah, I would suggest to consult at least with accountant or someone to understand if it's needed for you. But yeah, no legal advice from me. Hi, Christina. Thank you for the presentation. I probably should skip this part. What do you recommend best ways or sites to find work projects as a beginner freelancer? So basically, you have to be aware of different websites that exist. So basically, I would say the main biggest players, Upwork, Fiverr, and any website where you can post your portfolio like Dribbble or Behance, for designers at least. With Upwork, it's a bit challenging to start, especially now where the competition is so high. And like, if you will be applying for those jobs posted, there will be like, it's quite depressing because you see like there is like already 100 application from someone offering 10% of the price you would like to offer or something like that. So it's with Upwork, my personal experience was quite frustrating. So I would say the Fiverr is a good way to start, because instead of like applying for a job, you're offering your gig, you're offering a particular service. Keep in mind that like this service is not the final service you want to perform. It's like a lead, a freebie, let's call it a freebie, because you're offering a very small task to complete for a small price. It might be like something like 20, 30 pounds. And basically it might be really something small. For example, I've been starting with Fiverr offering Google Analytics setup for Shopify store owners. And basically because they liked experience working with me when I was helping them setting up their Google Analytics, they also been happy to continue working with me outside of Fiverr on a bigger project. So in terms of like Fiverr, you have to think of it not as source of income, but more like a way to find those leads, performing a small task, build trust in your relationship, and then probably later continue. But also personally for me as a designer, my Dribbble portfolio worked really well. I was getting a lot of leads from there. And basically, I have to tell my story. A short pause on the actual question, but I used to be a marketer. In my previous chapter of my life, I was a chief marketing officer managing 50 plus people in a tech company in Belarus. And then I moved to Poland, started freelancing and become a designer. So because I just switched to design and I haven't had any portfolio, so I need to start from scratch. And I started working on the websites that I would like to redesign in theory. And my first portfolio cases are actually websites that never been redesigned or built eventually based on my designs. It's just more like a visual exploration that I did, performing some best practices applied to those websites. So basically, I started with this portfolio and I started getting leads of people interested in redesigning their Shopify stores or building their Webflow website. So basically, I would say for a junior designer, it's very important to work on some portfolio pieces. You don't need to have like 100% real projects. It might be just good redesigns of something that is bothering you, something you don't like as a designer, or something that you think you could make better. I hope I answered your question. What freelance style did you go with as a freelancer and why? So for me, as a freelancer, I was combining different styles. I was experimenting and testing. I would say value-based is the most challenging one. If you're freelancing for 5-10 years, you can definitely go with value-based. But as a as a beginner, as a freelancer who just started, you mostly will be focused on hourly based projects or just project based or retainer if you're working with the agency. So what I like about hourly based is the simplest one because you don't have to plan the whole project. You just give your estimation, like it will take like 10, 12 hours, and then you build client based on the actual result. So if you're planning to start, that's the easiest one to start. And then you will have understanding how much time takes for you to perform a particular project. And later you can introduce project-based fees. Yeah, then I later switched to project-based fees since I started to have bigger projects and I've been redesigning and building websites in Webflow. And here, of course, several first projects went really well. It's like your learnings. You underestimate your project in majority of cases when you start as a beginner. So get ready for it. Get ready to overwork a bit on your project because your estimation was wrong. And later, also in my freelance career, I also enjoyed a retainer. I've been working for Mechanism Ventures. It's a venture capital company that helps startups to grow. And it's really nice in terms of like, it's almost like a stable income because, every week they will have at least a couple of works for you. And also because you're a freelancer and you can have other projects, so they promise you to give you a particular amount of hours. So you will have this amount of hours left in your working week for them. So basically it's like half a contract or something like that. So basically it's almost a stable income you can rely on. So yeah, I hope to answer your question. But anyway, it's best to start with hourly based or project based because it's like really clear and simple thing to go with in the beginning as a freelancer. Katya, have you found you need to learn more about the client's product brand as a freelancer, or it is the same? So I would say the difference about, especially as a product designer, I'm also was freelancing mostly like UX UI designer, and then I've been working full-time as a product designer. So there is a bit of difference in approach as well. So as a freelance UX UI designer, you're definitely not going that deep into understanding like how the client product works or anything. You still need to understand who's your target audience for this project, what are the other competitors, how do they deal with it. So basically as much information as you can get from your client is very important. Also, the most important information you can get from your client is their goals. It's basically every time I was starting working with a client, I was asking what's their goal with this project, what they're trying to achieve, what's the real goal behind it. And it's sometimes the first answer might be wrong. So basically, if you ask client what's the goal to build this website, and they're like, I want to present myself to the internet. And then you can ask your client, but why you want that? What's behind this goal? And the real goal is actually they want people to fill out their contact form and get in touch with them to do the service they offer on the website or to get their products they're offering. So basically understanding this like main goal of the client is really important. It's what your like whole project will be built around to achieve this goal, to make this goal as obvious as possible for your client. And on the other hand, as a full-time employee, because you have a lot of time, you have your onboarding sessions, and company invest a lot into like educating you about their product, you're definitely achieving new levels of understanding how everything works. I definitely, especially if I will continue working with a startup, I will need to understand like what technical limitations I have as a designer. Are there any blockers that stops me from building some particular features? And it's always like a constant collaboration. And then later, if you work at a company for a year or longer, you become really valuable employee because you have a lot of knowledge about the product, about the current ecosystem and limitations. And companies don't like you to let you go because you're such a valuable asset now. So basically, yeah, I hope to answer your question. And one more, tips to building healthy habits to self-management. Oh, a good one. I would say for me, I am workaholic. So when I was freelancing, I was struggling from working more and working quite late. So for me, it was really helpful to set up some borders and just using my calendar and task management software, anything that works for you. So basically, I was setting up like the start of my day and the ending of my day, and anything that needs to be done, I have to list it on my list of tasks. And basically, the most important part for you here is to learn how to prioritize. Because you can write down 20 tasks for today, but your capacity or your abilities to achieve is like 3-4 tasks. So out of those 20 tasks, you need to decide which are the most important and prioritize them to do first. And basically, prioritizing works not only for freelancing, it works for your full-time career really well as too, because you need to set priorities for every day you do. And also you need to think longer. You need to set priorities for this week, for this month, especially if you're freelancing and working on a longer project that takes a month. So you need to decide, like, in the first week, I will do research. In the second week, I will start experimenting with branding. So you have to prioritize things for yourself and for the projects. I see a question from Katya. Go ahead.
So I know I asked a lot of questions, but so as a new person who's maybe going into designing as a job, if you don't have experience in full-time working, would you suggest going as a freelance? Because how would you determine, you know how you said if you're working on a project, determine how many hours you work on the project, whatever. If you've never actually worked as a designer full-time or whatever, how would you wouldn't know how to build the client. So how would you suggest to do that? Or would you suggest to do a bit of employment so you can kind of get a bit of a handle on how it works?
It's really good question. Thanks for asking it. So basically, I will go back a bit of my personal experience. Like, I started as a freelancer and it was quite rough because you have to learn on the go. You do a lot of mistakes. So basically, when clients ask you how long it will take, you just like get in with 10 hours. And then it takes like 20 hours, and you're overworking because you estimated like 10 hours. But basically, the best way to learn is actually working and doing and start doing. So there is a good thing about freelance. If you like, as a junior designer or anything, you're starting with just freelancing. The good thing is that clients that will choose you, they are not professional designers. They won't judge your quality of design. They won't understand even like if you're a junior designer or not in majority of cases, because for them, the difference in like border thickness or the font you pick is really, really minimal. So the entrance for junior designers is from one side easier to start freelancing. From another side, it's a challenge to find a client. So I would say finding your first clients and landing your first clients is harder than landing a full-time role. And also, especially if you don't have design experience and well-presented portfolio and everything. So basically, from one side, it's easier to start. From another side, it might be more challenging to find your first clients, especially if you don't have like a good network or you don't know many people. You don't know anyone who might be interested in your service, like a friend of friend of friend. While with full-time, it might be easier because like you will, once you land the role, someone will be helping you, educating you. So I would say Personally, I don't have regrets. I started with freelancing. It was quite a painful experience to start with. It was scary. It was hard. I learned a lot, but I'm really happy I did it, because even though these learnings are quite hard and complex and painful, they help a lot in everything you do. They give you confidence in like going to full-time or to freelance, because you don't have to choose anymore. You know, whatever will happen with your full-time role, if there will be more tech layoffs, you're not scared, because you know how easy it's to go back and start freelancing now with all your knowledge and experience. So I'm really happy I did freelancing, but I can understand that it's not for everyone, that it might be too rough to start with freelancing immediately, because as a junior designer, you're scared of your designing experience. And on top of it, you have taxes, project management, communication with your client, learn how to write emails, not like a robot. For me, it was a problem because my background was from corporate marketing culture, and I was writing all my emails sounding like I'm a corporate robot. So there's a lot of learnings that freelance need outside of the main service you provide, and it's something that is really important to keep in mind. But I also think it's important to understand what works better for you, for your personality. You can ask yourself how freedom is important for you. How comfortable are you with doing your taxes, with communicating with your clients, setting up calls, setting up your schedule? So basically, it really depends on you, what you prefer. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you find it helpful. I don't know, any other questions? Okay.
I was literally just going to ask, where can we find you?
Here I am. You can find me in Poland.
Nice.
But I really enjoyed your question, guys. I'm really happy you asked so many questions, and I'm really grateful for you being so active and asking those questions. Thank you.
All good. Thank you, Christy, for taking your time out today to speak to us and give us a lot of insight in terms of how you look at the world as a designer. Please, if anyone has any questions in future, feel free to reach out to Christy via her socials or her website even. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do something else in future as well. Have a great one, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon. If anyone wants help with their portfolio or case study, I will be hosting a session at 3 o'clock, so in an hour and a half. Feel free to join. But yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you.
Have a nice day, everyone.
Take care. Peace.